Hi everyone, this is a music production course and the subject of this video is panning. What is exactly panning and how did it come into existence? There was a time that music was still mono. So let's say 1940s, 1950s. All music was coming out of one speaker and therefore it was mono. Then the stereo music was kind of invented, which means there are two speakers. You have a speaker at the left side and a speaker at the right side. And you don't have to pan all the music on top of each other. You can actually move music a little bit to the left, so there is more of that music at the left side, or you can move some of the music to the right speaker, so there is more of that music in the right speaker. Why would you do it? So why would you pan an instrument out? Because when the stereo music started to exist, suddenly everyone was experimenting with it. They were putting, for example, if you listen to jazz music like Coltrane recordings, the John Coltrane, the saxophone player, you will hear the saxophone is in the left ear. It's panned to the left. And when you listen to Bob Dylan, with the moment it becomes stereo, you have some drums in your right ear and the bass. It's like they pan it all in all kinds of directions. That's normal. When something starts to exist, people want to experiment with it. It's like with reverb. At a certain moment, computers, or there was just more processing power, not computers yet, and then all the songs of the 80s, they have a lot of reverb. More processing power means you could have more reverb. So the same happens here. And after all the crazy experiments stopped, I don't say it was crazy, but the drums are again back in the middle, no panning. The bass is in the middle too. Why are they in the middle? They are the rhythm section. The bass is a low instrument. It's not interfering with the vocal. I will immediately scroll towards the vocal, the lead vocal. And the lead vocal is in the middle too. Which instruments are actually panned out of the way? As you can see, this guitar, resonator guitar, is panned to the right side. And this piano is panned a little bit to the left side. Not much, but a little bit. Okay, let's talk about the guitar first. A guitar and a piano have frequencies that might interfere with the vocal. A guitar, for example, a resonator guitar, has frequencies that are nearly totally overlapping with a male vocalist. So have a listen to the song again.
And what I am, you are what you are.
So the guitar frequencies, I panned them out of the way. So they are not overlapping, not on top of the male vocalist. So that's a benefit of stereo mixing. You have two speakers now, and I can move an instrument with its frequencies out of the way. You could wonder, like, why did I have a panning of plus 12 to the right and then plus 16, then again plus 15, then plus 20, and in the end it goes all the way to plus 24. Why would I widen the panning over the total length of the song? There is a reason for that. It creates emotion. I'm in fact tricking you a bit, because if it's a live record, I mean, if you're listening to live music, the people on the stage, they're always standing on the same spot. They can't really suddenly, well, they can run around, of course, but what I mean is, imagine an orchestra. You have the violins at the left side, the cello players at the right side. they are not going to move their chairs while they are playing the music. So this guitar player moves always more to the right and more to the right. It's as if I'm stretching out the stage. So the guitar player, I stretch out the stage, I make it always bigger and bigger and bigger. That's how it seems. And that creates emotion. I do it with the piano player too, but a little less. Why? Because it's a stereo recording. This is in my left ear already, and this is in my right ear already. So you have to watch out with stereo recordings like this piano that you don't pan them too much. Let me make it a little bit more visual. So if this is in the left speaker and this is in the right speaker, if I pan it drastically, then what's in the right speaker will come in the middle. It's like if you have this, and if you move this to the left, more to the left side, what's to the right will also move. So you don't want that. So a piano is already a split. This is already panned to the left, and this is already panned to the right. So why did I pan it anyhow a little bit? I panned it so it would move a little bit away from the guitar, and you would have the impression that the piano is at the left side of the singer and the guitar player is at the right side of the singer. And I do the same thing. In the end, you have nearly a pan of -12, I think, on the last note, while I started with around -10, then -6, -10. You can see here on the -10, on the chorus, every time there is a chorus, I pan it a bit wider. When there is a verse, I pan it a bit less wide. So this creates emotion. We start with a small panning, and then we widen the panning in the chorus. Then we narrow the panning a little bit more, and then we widen it again. And over the total length of the song, we keep widening, and you see that best in the guitar. We start with 12, and the next verse, it's already +15. So +12 becomes 12, +15. And on the chorus, we do the same. +16 becomes +20. So we widen on the chorus, and we widen over the total length of the song. There are more techniques like that create emotion. Let me make you listen to it. Another thing is, it has not much to do with a panning, but it's a good moment to tell you this, is that we feel emotion when there is more low and more high in comparison to what we've already heard. This song starts with a guitar and two singers, and on the chorus, when the chorus starts, I add a piano, and the right hand of the piano is higher than the resonator guitar. So I add more high by introducing the piano here on the chorus. Look here, the bass only starts playing at the chorus. Yeah, a little bit before it, but it's like a few notes to step up to the chorus. So the bass only plays during the chorus. And here there is no bass. That's no coincidence. The moment that chorus starts and that the bass comes in and the piano comes in, you will feel emotion because there is more low and more high. And that's also another technique. There should be more low and more high, preferably over the total length of your mix, and the listener will always feel more and more emotion. Let me play it for you. Guitar, two singers, and now feel it.
Don't you forget, no man will come between us. That's what you once said. I am what I am. You are what you are.
Did you feel it? That uplifting feeling. So that's the bass coming in, and that's the kick of the drum coming in. Also, the cymbals are high. So high, and so the piano adds high, the cymbals of the drums add high, the kick adds low, and the bass adds low too. So you could play around with that. Sometimes turn the bass, like I turn the bass off again and I turn it on again, and I do the same here with the drums. There are moments that I create a spot where the drums are absent, so you can have that feeling again and again like, oh, it's coming in, oh, it's coming in, and it emotionalizes you. And the same with that widening effect. Let's have a look at the backing vocals. So there is a female voice singing along with, and you can see it widens too. So that female voice, oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. That's not, no, it doesn't widen. It stays on -10 because this is the Haas panning. So that's, we're not talking about that. So let me remove that for you. And let's see here. Did I have the pan? Yep, I did. So it goes from +22 to +31. So this backing vocals, they move outward over the total length of the mix. So the girl stays in place, probably because it's kind of a sing-along vocal, and these are really the backings, so they are softer. Let's see here. I must have done it too. No, I didn't do it. Here I did it. It goes from 40, and let's see, what is it here? 45. So I did it on some of the backing vocals, and it seems I forgot to do it on the others. By the way, when we talk about backing vocals, be aware, like, it's not so important here because they're all singing unisono with the lead. So they're singing the same thing as the lead. The girl is singing the same melody as the lead, and all the other backing vocals, male or female, are also singing the same as the lead. I can make you hear this. Like, these are the backing vocals.
Tigers in a cage, fighting for space.
So you hear the girl, and all the other voices are very softly mixed into it. What's important is, if you have backing vocals that are singing something else than the lead, that you always add a copy of the lead. So if this girl would be singing something else as the lead, like if she sings, for example, a fifth higher or a major third higher or a minor third higher, then you should add a copy of the lead over here and give it the same volume. So if this was in fact a second vocal that was not unisono, I would have to put this on 0 too. So the copy of the lead, you put it as loud as the additional, as the backing vocal. It's called stacks, and it's stacks and doubles. So that's the double then, and the stack is that you add something on top of the lead. Why do you have to add that double? Because every time the backing vocal comes in, the lead would diminish in power. So that's why you add a copy or another version, another track of your lead. So you record the lead probably a few times. So add one of the other recordings here, and then every time the second vocal comes in, the backing vocal comes in, you will not have the feeling that the lead vocal becomes less powerful, because the lead vocal gets support. So for every backing vocal you add, you should add a double of the lead. In this case, that's not, I didn't do it because they're all in unisono, all singing the same melody as the lead. They're just doubling, in fact, the lead anyhow. Okay, let's have another look at panning. What's important is, but I already showed it to you in one of the previous videos, is if you create ping pong delays, that you detach the reverb from it. So you can see the sound goes into this delay, the ping pong delay, and then a copy of the sound of this delay goes into the reverb. But I detached the panning from the reverb from the delay. The reverb is panned a little bit more inside than the ping pong delay itself. So the ping pong delay is totally panned to the left, and the reverb, so the ping pong delay goes through some reverb too. That reverb is, you can see it here, I think, left ping pong. So reverb warm hall, left ping pong is panned only 50 out instead of the minus 64, minus 50 instead of minus 64. Why did I do it? Because I use a spreader on the reverb, and I want the reverb, and there is also a little bit space left in the mix. So you wonder always, like, where is there space left in my mix? I have the drums in the middle, the bass in the middle, the vocal in the middle, and now you have to spread out the other instruments, the guitar at the right side, the piano. If it's a stereo recording, the piano is stereo recording, you pan it in the middle or a little bit to the left. If it's not a stereo recording, you can pan the piano out a little bit more to the left. Same with the backing vocals. You pan them, like this backing vocal, the girl is minus 10, and all the other backing vocals are spread out over the mix a bit more. And you do the same if you add ping pong delays to create a room around your instrument, and you make those delays go through some reverb. You should detach it by, here, by using the pre-fader modus. How does it work? Post-pan means that this sound goes to the reverb after the panning. So you create a copy of the sound here, and then you make it go through the reverb. So it's after the panning. If you take post fader, it's here after the fader. So if you take the volume down here, there will be less volume going to the reverb. And then you have that last option, pre-fader. And strangely enough, I already told you this in a previous video, pre-fader doesn't mean here, but you create a copy of the sound over here before the panning. So it's on a pre-fader, which means the sound goes through the delay, and the delay is panned all the way, in this case, to the right, because it's the right ping pong delay. And then a copy of the sound goes in here to the reverb, but that copy of the sound was made over here before the panning and before the fader. And then I can add my own panning to the reverb, and I can pan it a little bit more inward than I pan the right ping pong delay. And so the right ping pong delay is on plus 63, and the reverb is on plus 50. So that's what you use panning for. Let me see. Is there anything else? Oh yeah. So I told you, you use panning to pan instruments out of the way. So the guitar, you move it a bit to the right. So because the guitar has the same frequencies as the guitar strings have the same frequencies as the male vocal. So you pan the instrument out of the way. But there is a positive side too for the guitar. You're just not putting it aside so it would not interfere with the vocal. No, you can also put the guitar a bit louder. You will notice that if you pan an instrument right on top of the vocal, you can't put it very loud. But when you pan it out of the way, you can put it a little bit louder and you have more music. So that's nice, isn't it? Now you could wonder, like, how do I balance the volume of my mix? So you have, this is the moment that all the instruments come in.
You are what you want.
So your attention goes to the lead vocalist, then it goes probably to the girl, and then you hear the other instruments like the guitar and the piano and the drums and the bass, you hear them. So how did I determine how loud I was going to mix that guitar in? Listen to the guitar.
What you want. We're tigers in a cage.
So this is the guitar.
The earth is still spinning and rivers.
So when you're wondering, like, how loud are the instruments in comparison to each other? It goes like this. You first turn your vocal on. That's it. It's singing.
What you want. We're tigers in a cage.
You put the guitar on.
For space. The earth is still spinning and rivers flow downstream.
As you can hear,
But not
the
much
guitar is quite loud,
of our childhood
isn't it?
dreams. If we claw our way out.
So if you use an acoustic guitar, you can put it even louder than the male vocal, because an acoustic guitar is nails on on nylon strings, and it's a very short, it's like ting, 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 ting. Even if you put it louder than the vocal, it's not so much in the way of the vocal. Your attention will still go to the vocal. So the guitar is quite loud. This is an electric guitar, but guitars, you can put them quite loud.
What you want. We're tigers in a cage, fighting for space.
Let's now
The earth is still spinning,
go to the piano.
and rivers flow downstream, but not much is left of our childhood dreams. If we claw our way out, there's no turning around.
So the piano is not louder than the voice. It's not even on the same loudness as the voice, on the same volume, I should say now. It's a little bit softer. So that's how you do it. The guitar, you put it nearly as loud as the vocal, or louder if it's an acoustic guitar. The piano, you put it this a little bit softer than the vocal. And then it sounds like this.
Rivers flow downstream, but not much is left of our childhood dream.
Okay, let me turn that guitar and that piano off. And let's now listen to the drums. Like what's the volume of the ideal volume of the drums?
Rivers flow downstream, but not much is left.
To create a good balance between the drums and the lead vocalist, you should listen to the snare. So you have kick, back, kick, back. That back sound should be a little softer than the vocal. So when the pack comes, because that snare is actually on the same frequency as your vocalist, so you should put it a little softer. So the snare is just behind the word, so you can still understand the word, and it's not the understanding is not clouded by that snare.
Rivers flow downstream, but not much is left of our childhood dreams.
Tack.
If we claw our
Tack.
way out,
Tack.
there's no turning around.
Do you hear it?
No freedom.
That it's a little bit, the snare is a little bit softer than the vocal, and that's how you balance that grouped drums. How do you balance now the bass in comparison to the drum? So I turn the vocal off now. I go to the bass, I turn it on, and now you have to listen to the kick of the song. So bok, bok. So, and the bok should be a little bit resonating together with the bass. It should be as if they are friends holding hands. You can see the movement of the kick here. So I put a side compressor on it towards the kick. So every time the kick kicks, the volume of the bass is a little bit reduced. So the kick, I give a little bit priority to the kick. So that's how you do it. You turn your vocal on, then the main instrument, in my case the guitar. A guitar can be quite loud. Then the piano. Piano should be a bit softer than the vocal. And then the group drums, listen to the snare. Make sure the snare is a little just under the vocal. And when it comes to making the bass fit with the rest of the music, you should listen to the kick and the bass, and they should balance each other out. If you should always check the volume of the bass with monitor headphones on. So monitor headphones are flat-lined They don't. These are special headphones. They don't boost the bass, and so you can hear very well if the bass is too loud or not. If your monitor speakers are not giving away enough how loud the bass should be, you can re-listen and adapt the volume of the bass with your headphones. And then when you listen to it again through your speakers, you will see it will be okay. But in general, try to make the kick and the bass be one, make them come together. And then your mix is balanced. You have panned some instruments out, you have panned some reverbs a little bit inward or outward, and where there is space in your mix, that's where you put the reverb. The same with your backing vocals. You can see here in my template, I got a lot of space left. So after the backing vocals, there is a whole part of my template that's empty. If I want to add a violin or an alt sax or a pad or a violin low or a viola, I can do it here. So I have a template. It's made for all kinds of mixes and possible instrumentations. So you have, if I have background instruments, I already decided a certain pan, like the violin would be, high violin would be on -20. Then I got, it might not, yeah, and the violin low might be on +20. The viola on -40. And then I got a cello somewhere. It's like on +40. So I already decided, or partly decided, where these instruments in the total panning are going to sound. Same with the backing vocals. So I know if I put some backing vocals, like these are the high backing vocals. So they are the closest to the lead. And then the backing vocals that are a little lower are normally placed a little bit at the right side, but further away. And the lowest backing vocals are panned the most outward. In this case, all backing vocals are singing in unisono with the lead, so it doesn't matter. But I kept the same principle here. The girl is a high voice, so I placed it close to the lead, so you would not have you would have the feeling that they are. You would not have the feeling it's detached from the mix. Listen to that. If I do this,
but not much is left.
You hear it in your left ear.
Childhood dreams. If we claw our way out, there's no turning.
I don't want that. I don't want the instrument to be so much out of the way. Be aware if you have distortion guitars. This is a resonator guitar. It's a little bit crunchy, but it's not that distorted. If you are mixing rock music, you might want to pan your guitar. You have normally two guitars with rock music. You have one for the left ear, one for the right ear, and then you will pan it all the way out, because distortion creates compression and density, and these guitars will then sound very much in the way of the vocals. If you are going to pan an instrument all the way out, a guitar all the way out, and another distorted guitar all the way out to the other side, you have two guitars, one for the left ear, one for the right ear. Be aware then that you have to pan your ping pong delays. You created rooms, that's what I did at least. I created a room not so much with reverb, but using ping pong delays. And in that case, this is the drums. Let's see, where are the ping pong delays of the drums? It must be here somewhere. Here. In that case, if you have distorted guitars, pan the ping pong delays a bit more inside, because you don't want the distortion guitars are already here, so you will not hear the ping pong delays. That space is already filled by the distorted guitars. So in that case, you pan the ping pong delays a little bit inward, because that's where there is space. So always wonder, like, okay, I got the drums in the middle, I got the bass in the middle, the vocals in the middle. Okay, the highest second backing vocal is going to be on the left. The double of the lead, because every backing vocal needs a double, is going to be there too. And then there is a backing vocal singing a bit lower. I will pan it out here. Then there is a really low one. I will pan it more to the right. They also have their doubles. Then you have the ping pong delays. They are totally at the sides, creating that room, the impression of a room. The reverb of those ping pong delays, it's a little bit panned inwards. You have to create a vision, a panning vision of where all the instruments, all the delays, and all the reverb is, and spread it out over the two speakers. And that's what panning is, that you spread out sound over those two speakers. Maybe one last thing, we were talking about creating emotion. So if you pan an instrument out and you make the panning wider and wider, you feel emotion. When you add more high and more low into a mix, you feel emotion. And also when you create more wet sound. So you will see that all the delays and reverb comes together in one bus, and the wet sound was first, there's not much difference here, but maybe I have more difference here with the guitar. The wet sound starts at -23 decibels and it ends on -19. I do it for every instrument. The vocal starts at -25 decibels. Oh, it's not going up. Oh no, that's the soul. That's not the vocal. The vocal is here. It starts at -32 and it ends on -28, is it? Or 26? I can't see it very well from this far. All right, so you see that by creating more wet sound, by widening the panning, and by adding more low and more high, you will create more emotion in your mixes. And so the panning is one of those elements that will help you to achieve that.